Exciting times bleed us all. This time, I'm looking at how damaging 2020 was to the Hollywood film industry and US theaters, arrogantly predicting the future that lies ahead for the Big Five and theater chains. Oh my. Also, for your viewing pleasure, I have a baby hippopotamus sat on me that will not go to sleep. I hate you. Well, you're all right.
Now finally, at last, comes the picture. And what do we see? The same old beautiful toy story. The opening scene is arranged.
Let's just jump in to the happy graphs. Happy graphs. Steffi Graph. Happy graph. That's his kill word. This is US box office takings in 2020. This is US movie tickets sold. Just in case you're a crazy person and thought the first graph's drop was because of some sort of bonanza giveaway. The coronavirus and attempts to contain it have been incredibly disruptive to the film industry worldwide, clearly in two ways. Firstly, less people are going to the cinema than ever, and secondly, it's very difficult right now, and probably will continue to be difficult, to make movies, or at least to shoot them. Disney, which controls just more than a third of the Canadian and US market share, and which is more than twice as big as its next competitor, saw its operating income drop throughout 2020, and specifically by 82% in the last quarter. Sony saw revenues from theatrical releases essentially wiped out. AMC, the largest movie theater chain in the world, still had 2/3 of its movie theaters open in the US in December, but attendance was 92% down. Already saddled with debt, the company has repeatedly advised the SEC that it faces bankruptcy if it can't raise more liquidity. And I'll come back to AMC in a minute, but first let's look at how the studios responded to this pressure. Universal was the first big studio to offer films that it had planned for the traditional model of theatrical release and then later home and digital release, both theatrically and digitally simultaneously. It pushed some big releases, like Jurassic World, Dominion, back to 2021. Disney also seemed cautious. It released Frozen 2 digitally 3 months before it had first planned, and dispensed with a US theatrical release entirely for Mulan and went straight to video on demand. Analysts, and there's a generic term, guesstimate that Disney lost money on Mulan, but probably, perhaps, maybe, likely, possibly, that they lost less money than if it had hit theaters.
Yeah, it's so beautiful and so happy, and encouraging because
I do love acting so much.
Paramount, Sony, and MGM were more optimistic. As late as July, Paramount planned to release A Quiet Place 2 in November, and as late as July, Sony planned to release Peter Rabbit 2 in January. That wasn't going to happen. Fool! No Time to Die, which was produced by MGM with Universal acting as international distributor, was scheduled to release in November 2019. But in early 2019, it was delayed to early 2020 because the director, Danny Boyle, left the project over a script dispute. To Sans, or not to Sans. In January 2020, the premiere was set for April the 2nd. 1 month before that, MGM said it was delaying release until November. In October, No Time to Die was again delayed until April the 2nd, 2021. The Hollywood Reporter estimates that if the film had been released in April 2020, it could have lost up to $300 million. And this is why I call MGM optimistic. Delaying like that just wastes money. The future is very unclear as of late. But still, such short-term delays are Clearly naive. Very naive. I'm a film analyst. But MGM does have it in the bag. It can release it when it wants. MGM has only a 2% market share. The biggest 5 production studios are all part of much larger business portfolios and national amusements. They were profitable before COVID. Even if they're losing money right now, there's no reason for a lender to let them fail. To me, it seems clear that the studios will weather this. Finances can be murky. People can be in trouble quietly without letting us know, but I think as a whole, the production as we know it, end of the industry, will be okay. Ahem. Back to AMC.
I think there's a bias in Washington towards helping small business and assuming that big business will rely on self-help and take care of itself. But that is what AMC has been doing.
AMC received a $100 million investment in December from Murdoch Capital Management. They are a company that specializes in distressed debt. In October and November, AMC sold $152 million of its own stock. It said on the 30th of December that it will still need to raise $750 million to survive 2021. And surely that isn't AMC's fault. The studios can move things around, release things digitally. What can AMC do? I can't say that AMC won't survive, but I don't think it can in its current form. The pandemic may kill it, but before 2020, it had $5 billion in debt. Take a look at this graph, movie tickets sold per year, as I tell you that the world's next biggest exhibitor, Cineworld, added $450 million to its debt facility in late 2020, contributing to its own $4.9 billion total debt. Over time, sales have decreased, but ticket prices have increased and are now more or less plateauing. And now there has never been less incentive to go to the cinema. Yes, the pandemic, but even a new release can be cheaper to rent digitally if you're watching it with other people. AMC and Cineworld have made that age-old mistake of responding to dwindling business by cutting costs. The bulbs aren't bright enough. The image is blurry. There's a lot of debate on what's going to happen to theatres after the pandemic is over, never mind when. Will people go back? Some people say only the cinephiles will go back. Some others say only people who go for the social element will return.
I'll get it, it's
Probably my agent.
Well, I'm a cinema lover. I can appreciate the technical details. I'd much rather watch something at home. The image is better. As someone who enjoys watching the film, I have a better experience at home. I don't think I'm the only person who feels like that. And I think that, even if things are back to normal in summer in terms of mobility, audiences will have had 18 months to get used to streaming things they would have once chosen to see in theatres. The power of theatre exclusivity might not be easily returned, especially if studios find that it's not necessarily less profitable and is cheaper to release digitally.
In just over a year, Disney Plus has cemented its reputation as a singular destination for premium branded content.
In the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the Netherlands, to the UK, Germany, Italy, Spain, France, and in more than 10 other countries, India and Indonesia, in Japan, Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Chile, Colombia, and Peru, and more than 50 additional countries in South and Central America.
And we're not done yet.
Disney said in late 2019 that it wanted 60 to 90 million subscribers to Disney Plus by 2024. They're now projecting by 2024 that Disney Plus will have about 250 million subscribers. By that year, Disney Plus will be profitable enough where they can spend $9 billion on creating new programming.
Of the 100 titles that we announced today, 80% of them are going first to Disney Plus, which I think says something about our pivot over to Disney Plus.
I don't think I'm giving Disney's competitors too much credit by saying that surely they will follow suit, if not in creating their own platforms, at least heavily shifting towards digital exhibition. Essentially, Hollywood's future seems to be a sort of return to vertical integration, whereby studios might yet again exercise an enormous degree of power in the exhibition side of the industry. It works in the studio's favour if theatres are diminished but not destroyed. Then they can dictate their own terms, whilst totally controlling a system of exhibition themselves, an app, that is obviously going to be much cheaper to release through than a physical outlet, a cinema. How many people do you have to pay to run an app? Nowhere near as many people as run a cinema. Is that right, do you think? People will always want to see movies at theatres, but I think there will be fewer people, and for the big chains, fewer films. There'll probably be a large number of site closures. Some of the big theatre chains might be sold off. They might keep their name, they might not. On the other end, small franchises or independent theatres might do okay if they can connect their cinemas to events, or if they specialise or start to cater for specific audiences, or otherwise make the experience not like sitting in a damp Odeon in Rotherham. I'm not sure AMC or Cineworld can realistically, at this point in the game, adapt. I don't want them to fail. I don't. It gave me the eye. But I think that's where they were going anyway. I think there'll always be Cineplexes, and Marvel movies will still be in cinemas. There'll always be some demand. But in terms of new releases at the cinema compared to new releases digitally that you can purchase or rent, it's only going one way. So, that's it. Cheers. Thanks for watching. See you on Friday. Bastard.